Niccolò Machiavelli is often painted as a teacher of evil, a guide for tyrants and manipulators. But this is a misunderstanding born of fear. In reality, Machiavelli was simply the first man to switch on the lights in a room that humanity preferred to keep dark. He looked at the world not as it ought to be, filled with virtue and honesty, but as it actually is, a silent, continuous struggle for leverage, status, and survival. Imagine yourself in a modern boardroom, or perhaps a polite dinner among friends. The laughter is warm, the promises are loud, and the handshakes are firm. Yet Machiavelli would ask you to look closer. Notice the eyes that dart away when a hard question is asked, or the friend who offers help only when there is an audience to witness their generosity. We exist in a complex web of social power dynamics, where the naive are consumed by the strategic. To master any social room, you do not need to become a villain, but you must cease to be a victim of your own illusions. Today, we apply Machiavelli's cold logic to the modern world, exploring 10 dangerous truths that will strip away the pretense of polite society and reveal the machinery underneath. Truth number 1. The predator often wears the skin of the protector. In the wild, danger looks like danger. In society, danger often looks like a savior. Machiavelli warned that there is no more effective way to control a person than to make them dependent on your generosity. Observe the person in your circle who is always eager to solve your problems, sometimes before you even ask. On the surface, this appears to be friendship, but look for the subtle transactional nature of their aid. Do they remind you of their help during unrelated disagreements? Does their posture stiffen with entitlement when you try to make a decision without them? This is not kindness, this is the architecture of debt. By solving your problems, they are quietly removing your autonomy, ensuring that you cannot navigate the room without their guidance. The sovereign individual accepts help cautiously, knowing that in the economy of power, free gifts are often the most expensive items on the shelf. Truth number 2. Strategic silence is the only unassailable defense. Humans have a compulsive need to explain themselves, to fill the silence with their intentions, their fears, and their plans, believing that transparency builds trust. Machiavelli argues that transparency merely provides ammunition. In entering a new social environment, fight the urge to broadcast your identity. Observe the person who speaks the least. They are often the one gathering the most intelligence. When you speak, you reveal what you want, and once people know what you want, they know how to manipulate you. Notice how a master negotiator or a high-status individual often responds to a question with a pause or a question of their own, rather than a direct answer. This scarcity of information forces others to project their own assumptions onto you, making you a mirror rather than a target. In a room full of open books, the closed journal is the one everyone fears to misread. Truth number 3. Avoid the middle path of neutrality. In any conflict, whether it is office politics or a fracture in a friend group, the instinct of the peacemaker is to stay neutral, to please both sides. Machiavelli advises that this is the fastest way to be despised by everyone. The side you did not support will resent you for your lack of loyalty, and the side you did not propose will despise you for your cowardice. Observe the behavior of the neutral friend. Their eyes dart back and forth, their statements are vague, and their energy is anxious, trying to maintain a balance that does not exist. They bleed power because they stand for nothing. It is often safer to be a respected opponent than a hesitant ally. When you take a stand, even quietly, you define your boundaries and signal to the room that you are a person of agency, not merely a leaf blowing in the wind of popular opinion. Truth number 4. Flattery is the gatekeeper of treason. There is no drug more intoxicating to the human ego than validation, and Machiavelli knew that those who wish to disarm you will not use a weapon, they will use praise. Be hyper-vigilant of the person who compliments you on traits you do not possess, or who agrees with you too quickly, without a moment of contemplation. Watch their face when they deliver the compliment. Is the smile fixed? Do the eyes crinkle, or do they remain cold and watchful? This is not admiration, this is an intelligence-gathering operation. By inflating your ego, they are lowering your guard, waiting for you to reveal a weakness or a secret in a moment of pride. The only way to immune yourself to this is to know your own worth so thoroughly that external praise feels redundant and false praise feels suspicious. Truth number 5. It is safer to be respected than to be loved. We are socialized to seek affection, to be the nice person in the room, but Machiavelli observed a dark truth about human nature. Love is held by a bond of obligation, which, because men are wretched, they break at every opportunity for their own advantage. But fear is held by a dread of punishment that never fails you. In modern terms, we replace fear with consequence. If people know that crossing you has no social consequence, that you will forgive instantly, that you will tolerate disrespect, that you will smile through the insult, they will eventually consume you. Observe the dynamic in any group. The person who is terrified of offending others is often the one who is interrupted the most. You must establish a boundary where kindness ends and self-preservation begins. People may enjoy the company of a pushover, but they only listen to the person who has the capacity to walk away. Truth number 6. Judge by the result, not the intent. We often forgive toxic behavior because we believe the other person meant well, or because they have a sad story that explains their actions. Machiavelli stripped away this sentimentality. In the social world, intentions are invisible, only outcomes are real. If someone constantly hurts you by accident or creates chaos without meaning to, stop analyzing their heart and start analyzing the debris they leave behind. Look at the pattern, not the apology. Observe the colleague who always misses the deadline but has a perfect excuse, or the friend who reveals your secrets but claims it was a slip of the tongue. If you judge them by their actions alone, the mystery vanishes, and you see them not as a victim of circumstance, but as an architect of your frustration. Truth number 7. The reputation of power is power itself. Machiavelli noted that the majority of men are content with the appearance of things, and the world is ruled by the facade. How you carry yourself often matters more than what you can actually do. Notice the posture of high-status individuals. They take up space, they move slower than those around them, and they do not fidget with their hands or check their phones incessantly. Anxiety is a fast vibration, power is a slow one. If you look frantic, people assume you are not in control, even if you are the most competent person in the room. Conversely, if you remain calm in a crisis, people will gravitate toward you, assuming you have a plan, even if you do not. Curate your appearance of competence, for in the social hierarchy, perception eventually solidifies into reality. Truth number 8. Never inherit another man's enemies or his glory. In social circles, you will often be pressured to dislike someone simply because your friend dislikes them, or to join a cause that someone else started. Machiavelli warns against using mercenary troops, fighting a battle that is not your own. When you blindly adopt the grievances of others, you limit your own maneuverability. Observe the person who tries to recruit you into their conflicts. They use emotional language, trying to merge their identity with yours. If you were really my friend, you wouldn't talk to them. This is a trap. Maintain your autonomy. Be polite to everyone, but allied only to those who align with your own values. By refusing to inherit enemies, you keep all doors open and remain the arbiter of your own social fate. Truth number 9. Fortune is a river, and you must build dikes. Machiavelli did not believe in luck as much as he believed in preparation. Most people live in a state of reactive panic, dealing with social crises only when they explode. The strategist anticipates the shift. Watch for the subtle cooling of a relationship before it freezes. Notice the slight change in tone in an email before the conflict arises. This is the art of reading the current. If you rely entirely on things going well, you are fragile. Build your dikes, diversify your connections, keep your private life private, and never rely on a single person for your emotional or professional stability. When the flood comes, and it always comes, the prepared mind watches the water rise with a sense of calm, while the reactive mind drowns in the chaos. Truth number 10. To know the mountain, you must go to the plain. Machiavelli wrote that to understand the nature of the people, one must be a prince, and to understand the nature of the prince, one must be of the people. This means you must be able to shift your perspective instantly. To not get locked into your own ego. When you are in a room, stop thinking about how you look and start thinking about what the other person needs. Every person you meet is the protagonist of a movie playing in their head. They are driven by their own desires, fears, and vanities. If you can step out of your own body and view the interaction from their perspective, you will see the strings that pull them. You will see that their arrogance is a shield for insecurity, or that their aggression is a cry for respect. Once you understand their perspective, their behavior becomes predictable, and what is predictable can be managed. In the end, Machiavelli's logic is not about becoming cold, it is about becoming clear. The world is filled with noise, with emotions, with people pretending to be things they are not. Most walk through this fog on autopilot, reacting to every slight, believing every smile, and getting hurt by the same sharp edges again and again. But you have chosen to open your eyes. You have chosen to see the wires, the motives, and the machinery. When you master these truths, you do not lose your humanity, you protect it. You stop being a resource for others to consume and become a fortress that cannot be breached. Walk into the room not to conquer it, but to understand it. Remain observant. Remain detached. Welcome to the light of the dark.